What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto drops his mask in front of Konoha? If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. And also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation. Choices. Every day someone makes too many choices to count, but each choice can and will inadvertently affect that person and possibly others in one way or another. Some choices are small and insignificant, like, what shirt will I wear today, or what should I eat for breakfast? Of course, there are also choices that make a huge difference. Choices that will change the face of the world for all to see. And how many choices does it take to make that kind of impact on the world? Just one choice, from one person. Of course, you may be thinking, but it has to take more than that to make such a difference. To that I say, wrong. Take the show Naruto for example. Its main character, Naruto Uzumaki, is hated and belittled for his entire life, trying to become a ninja. During his life, Naruto remains a happy and carefree spirit that helps the world, mostly. But what if his happy smile was just a mask to hide his true pain and sorrow from the world? And what if after a certain incident, he decided to take off that mask permanently, shattering the image of Naruto that the village of Konohagakure has grown to know? Still don't believe me, do you? Well, in my short life on this earth I have grown rather intrigued with the notion of parallel world dynamics. Before I start rambling again, I'll try and simplify everything. As we all know, with the choices we make every day affect the world around us. Now, isn't it probable that for every choice we make, there is another world that has a different outcome than the one in our world? That being said, how many different possible worlds do you think might exist if this whole parallel world theory of mine is true? Too many to count. That's why I say that every choice has an effect. However, the severity of the choice made can also have severe ramifications for the one that made the choice and others around them. But again, I'm starting to blather like an incoherent idiot. It would probably be best if you were to see the differences I am talking about myself. Let us stick with the theme of Naruto like earlier, and let us also stick with the idea of Naruto's niceties as being a farce. Now, which world do you think we should visit in which Naruto's mask if finally dropped? How about the one where it all starts with Mizuki? If I remember correctly, Naruto had failed the genin exams for the third time and was told by Mizuki that if he were to steal the forbidden scroll from the third Hokage, and learn one jutsu, that Naruto would be allowed to pass. This is where the story gets a little different. Naruto wasn't an idiot, and he knew something was up with Mizuki, so he went ahead and stole the scroll anyway. Just to see what Mizuki was up to, and while he was waiting he figured that he'd learn a jutsu or two. Boy, did he learn more than he bargained. He learned Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Bunshin Bakuha no Jutsu, Kunai Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, the Rasengan, and he also learned the basics of the Hiraishin. Of course, once he felt the presence of Iruka and Mizuki not far behind, he knew that playtime was over, so he quickly rolled up the scroll, and waited for both to arrive. The first to make his entrance was an irate Iruka. Naruto, just what do you think you're doing? Why did you steal the forbidden scroll? Naruto, without missing a beat, calmly answered. Hey, don't look at me. Mizuki-sensei told me that if I stole the forbidden scroll that I would get to pass the exam. Personally, I think that's a load of bullshit. What do you think, Mizuki? Naruto turned to his left and up towards the branches of the trees to see a smug-looking Mizuki holding two Fuma shurikens. Iruka followed Naruto's gaze and was too shocked to believe what he was seeing. Hey, so you figured it out, demon brat? Well, I'll give you some credit for that, but it doesn't mean anything. I'm still gonna kill you. Naruto just stood there quietly with a glazed look in his eyes while Mizuki unstrapped one of his two shuriken and began to twirl it in one hand. Iruka knew what Mizuki was going to do and he knew he could stop him, but the urge to protect Naruto overrid his common sense of attacking Mizuki. And as Iruka arrived in front of Naruto, he waited for the pain of a shuriken impaling him. Strangely enough, it didn't come. When he looked behind him, Iruka was in shock, for there behind him was Naruto, holding the Fuma shuriken by one of the ends. When Iruka turned to look at the Naruto he was holding, it simply poof-ed out of existence. Iruka was just about to lose his life defending a shadow clone, but he was surprised that it was a solid clone of Naruto instead of an illusion. Naruto had an extremely bored expression on his face. Mizuki Teme, I give you two options. 1. You give up quietly and we give you to Ibiki for him to interrogate. Or option 2, I personally send you on a one-way trip to the most foul depths of hell for the rest of eternity, your choice. Mizuki let out a small chuckle. You actually think that you can hurt me? You're the Academy, dead last. You couldn't hurt a fly kid. Now prepare to die. It was at that moment that Mizuki felt a paralyzing wave of killing intent focusing on him. He couldn't move, he could barely breathe. That's when he looked into Naruto's eyes. Naruto's eyes were no longer the deep, caring and warm eyes that they were before. His eyes were cold as glaciers, as piercing as a bullet fired through tissue paper, and filled with so much hatred, oh so much hatred, hatred that promised a sinister and slow death. It was then that Mizuki did the first logical thing that came to his head. He screamed like a little bitch. Ah, relax Mizuki Teme, I haven't even started yet. Now how should I start? I got it. Let me show you how much I've improved in my genjutsu. Naruto goes through a series of complex seals, stopping on the dragon seal, and yells out, "Eternal dark hell." And suddenly the world around Mizuki went completely black, leaving himself floating in a dark void. After a few seconds, Mizuki feels something grab onto his legs and suddenly a burning sensation starts to run through his legs. When he looks down he sees a bloody, slashed, hand holding onto his leg, and to his horror he sees something crawling up his leg, under his skin. Mizuki immediately grabbed a kunai and started to slash at the thing under his skin until it eventually stopped. He breathed a sigh of relief for a second before he looked around and saw thousands of bloody, grotesque hands about to envelop him. On the outside of the genjutsu, Naruto was smiling a sinister grin on his face, similar to Gaara's, as he listened to Mizuki's screams on anguish. Iruka, for his part, was extremely calm considering that Naruto was showing signs of borderline psychosis. But of course all good things had to come to an end and Naruto just sensed a group of Anbu and one Hokage, so Naruto quickly dropped the genjutsu, created about 2,000 shadow clones and completely covered Mizuki so that he couldn't move. Just then the Anbu and Hokage appeared in the clearing to a surprising sight. The look on the Hokage's face, and probably a few Anbu's faces, were priceless. Apparently they weren't expecting the sight of a few thousand Narutos. I don't think anybody would be ready for that sight. It was the Hokage that was the first to recover. Naruto. WWH, what happened? What do you mean what happened? Mizuki tried to trick me into stealing the scroll for him, but I guess he just underestimated me. Mizuki was able to crawl far enough out of the clone pile to get his head out and start yelling again. You demon brat, once I get out of this I'm gonna kill you. Naruto immediately sent out a wave of killing intent that had some of the Anbu on their knees. The Hokage looked in horror at Naruto as his chakra was rolling off him. Let me make this perfectly clear to everyone. I am tired of being the village's punching bag, and I will not tolerate it any longer. From now on, I will not simply roll over and play dead for the villagers, and I will no longer pretend to be a happy little child. From now on I will either be treated as a person or I will take matters into my own hands, with lethal force if necessary. And just so we're perfectly clear on that, I'm going to use Mizuki as an example. So if you value your lives I suggest you back up and now. Demon, called Mizuki, just what do you think you're doing? Naruto just turned to Mizuki with the same ice-cold eyes from earlier. I have 2 words for you Mizuki Teme. Mizuki looked at Naruto for one last time with sheer terror on his face. Bunshin Bakuha. And with that everyone in the clearing made a break to get as far away as they could until a colossal explosion, that rocked the village, was heard and seen. Everyone that knew it was Naruto's doing just gawked at the sheer magnitude of the explosion. Everyone regrouped at the border of the flames of the blast to see Naruto, calmly walking out of the flames like nothing happened, carrying the forbidden scroll, until he was out of the flames and looking directly at everybody. So, have I made myself clear? Everyone just gawked and nodded. Naruto, pleased with his work, tossed the scroll back to the Hokage and started to walk off. I'm going home. I need to rethink my life for a while, so don't bother me unless necessary. Oh, and Sarutobi-sama, I think we need to have a talk later about what else I found in that scroll, but that can wait until tomorrow. Naruto, hold on for a second, called the ancient Hokage. With what I've seen tonight, I think you're going to need this. And with that Naruto put his hand in the air and caught a hite-8. Some surprise showing on his face. Are you sure about this Hokage-sama? If the village council finds out that you allowed me to graduate, they're gonna blow a casket. The old Hokage just smiled. Yes, Naruto, I'd be a fool to not give that to you, and let me handle the council. Besides, that particular Hite 8 belonged to your father, and I've no doubt that he would have wanted only you to have it. Naruto just stared at the headband in his hands, and with that he showed everyone something that only the Hokage himself had ever had the privilege to see. Naruto's true smile. And with that Naruto gave his thanks and shunshined home. Hokage-sama? Asked one of the Anbu. Do you think it was a good idea to give Naruto that Hite 8? The ancient Hokage just sighed and looked toward the Anbu. With what we've all seen him do tonight, I can only imagine what he would do if he found out that we denied him something that he more than earned tonight. With that thought, the face behind the Anbu mask paled considerably. With Naruto had teleported into his apartment via Shunshin. And the first thing on Naruto's mind was bed. Naruto was wiped out, more so than he should have been, which he knew was odd. But at this point, he really didn't give a damn. And as soon as Naruto hit his bed, he was out cold. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto was awakened to the sound of water dripping around him. As he slowly opened his eyes, he realized that he was no longer in his home. He was in some sort of strange sewer with entangled pipes covering the ceiling and walls. I know that Konoha doesn't have sewers this big, and this doesn't feel like a genjutsu, so I can only assume that this is my mind, or how I perceive my mind. Right, you are Kit. Now if you would get off your ass and find me, we can talk face to face. Naruto calmly stood up and started heading in the direction of the booming voice. As Naruto approached his destination, he couldn't help but feel a sense of both dread and excitement fall upon him. Finally, when he arrived at a large corridor with a cage on the other side, Naruto scoffed. So this is where the Kyuubi no Kitsune now lives. Well, I have to say, it's probably an improvement compared to the last place you were held captive. And what would you know about my last prison, you pathetic little ape? At this, a pair of crimson eyes with slit pupils appeared with an array of teeth with extended canines under the eyes. The eyes alone were probably larger than Naruto, that combined with the teeth would have most shinobi pissing themselves. However, Naruto isn't most shinobi, so you can probably imagine the confused look on Kyuubi's face when he saw that Naruto was completely calm. What do I know about your last prison? Well, besides the fact that it was supposedly an inanimate object, and that most objects are smaller than people, I can only guess how cramped it must have been. But back to the matter at hand. Why is it you brought me here anyways? I'll tell you, but first you must come closer so that you can hear this, because I don't want to repeat myself. Naruto, not being an idiot, knew that it was a trick, but he continued anyways, with his defenses raised of course. And as Naruto got near the cage, can you guess what happens? A large set of claws shoot out, stopping mere inches from his eyes. Kyuubi had thought that he had just scared the kid shitless, but was gobsmacked when Naruto calmly talked. So, are we gonna talk, or am I just gonna stare at your poorly manicured claws? Because if that's all, then I'm just gonna go back to my body and get some sleep. Why, you're not even scared of me, are you? Well, honestly, if I said I wasn't, then I'd be lying. But I know that you can't kill me, and that you can't get out of that cage unless I let you go, and even if I did let you go, there's a good chance that we will both die anyways. So I can't say that I fear you so much as I fear what it is you could do. You're different than most apes I've come across. You actually think, for starters, and that complete lack of fear and cold-hearted nature is something to be respected, even by my standards. I think I'm beginning to like you, Kit. But I can't say that I know too much about you because I was asleep for the last 12 years. So if you don't mind, I would like to see into your past to see if you are worthy of the deal I may make with you. Well, I don't see what you'll find by looking into my past, but fine. So, how do I show you my life? Just put your hand on the end of my snout and clear your thoughts. I should be able to see everything in a few seconds. As Kyuubi finished that sentence, he lowered his massive head down to Naruto's level. Fine. With that, Naruto did as he was told, and in a few seconds Naruto's life flashed through the eyes of the Kyuubi, and unexpectedly the same happened with Naruto, except he saw a few thousand years of Kyuubi's life. But what the Kyuubi saw made him absolutely bloodthirsty. Suddenly Kyuubi's eyes shot open as he jerked his head back and started to roar. How dare these insolent apes treat a child like that? I should have killed them all when I had the chance. If I could get out of this cage, I'd leave few alive. Calm down, Kyuubi. There's nothing that can be done about my past, same for me, as I can do nothing about yours. But even in Makai, where I come from, children are not treated in such a manner as you were. Not even enemies would attack an enemy's defenseless child for something as idiotic as unbased hatred. Well, the idiotic people of my world can't see past their own hatred and sorrow to see a crying and scared child. They will only ever see me as a demon and a constant reminder of who they lost 12 years ago. Still, that is no excuse to attack a child. Listen to me, Naruto, I was simply going to give you a small fraction of my power for standing in my presence and showing little fear, but from what I have seen, you deserve so much more for being able to continuing to life the life that you do. And, seeing that your treatment is my own fault, I will give you a few more gifts than before. First, I will give you a much larger portion my power than before, as well as the fox summoning scroll and even a Kekkei Genkei if you wish. It is the least I can do for you. Naruto thought about it for a minute before coming to a decision. Alright Kyuubi, I'll take you up on your offer, and as a bonus to you, if you tell me exactly why it is you attacked Konoha in the first place, I will tear off enough of the seal to allow you to be able to experience my senses. Well, I suppose you do deserve the explanation behind my attack. Very well. It started 12 years ago when I was in Makai with my mate and kit. I had just returned to my den when I felt a strong force pull me into this world. At first, I thought that I would be alone, but somehow my mate and kit were also drawn into this world with me. When the humans that summoned my family saw my mate, they immediately attacked her in an attempt to force me to do as they wished in exchange for her safety. They would have tried to attack my kit, but I was able to send her back to Makai before the humans attacked her. My mate had managed to escape, but was severely injured. I lost control of myself and in a blind fury I attacked the vile humans that summoned my family. However, a few managed to escape but not without injury. The first one was an older man that now only has one arm and a X-shaped scar on his chin. The other was extremely pale with yellow eyes and he reeked of snakes. All I can tell you about the one that smelled of snakes is that he was far more powerful than any other man I had ever come across, except one in particular. But as I was saying, I gave chase after the two fleeing humans. However, I lost their scent and had nothing to go on other than the symbol on their headbands. A leaf. Soon enough I found my way to this village with the identical leaf symbol that I saw on their headbands. However, once I reached the village I was attacked by dark hooded figures with animal-like masks and had to defend myself. I soon lost control of myself and started to attack in order to stay alive. However, your Hokage managed to seal me inside of you. And the rest you already know. I see. Well, I suppose that if I were in your position, I would have done the same thing. And as you can see, while you were talking, I managed to take about 1/5 of the seal off. So when should we get started with the Kekkei Genkei and all that other stuff? Don't worry about it Naruto, I have already begun working on that. For now I suggest you return to your body and get some sleep, from what I've seen you will need it. Naruto let a small smile grace his lips before he continued. Sleep sounds like a winner to me. And as Naruto was walking away Kyuubi he stopped and said, Kyuubi, I'm sure you're worried about your family, but if your mate is as strong as I think she is then I'm sure she's alive. Thank you Naruto, I haven't seen my mate in 12 years, and I do miss her. I just wish I could see her once again. Perhaps if I can find a way to break the seal without killing us both, then perhaps you will see her again, and soon. And with that Naruto vanished, returning back to his body. Because of me kid, you never had a life growing up, and yet you still are willing to help even those that don't deserve such kindness. I owe you so much more than just some power and a Kekkei Genkei. I owe you a life and I will make sure that you get the life that you deserve. I swear it upon my chakra and my tails. Naruto Uzumaki had woken up in an extremely grouchy mood. What it is about the mornings that makes him so god-awful grouchy is beyond me. Maybe he just wasn't a morning person, or it could be the fact that waking up meant another day of glares, hateful gossip, and possibly even a beating or two. Whatever the case may be, it was definitely not the reason this morning. This morning, Naruto was in a dull pain when he woke up, which is to be expected when someone goes through extreme physical alterations like he did. However, Naruto wasn't aware of that just yet as he climbed out of bed. However, he did notice that he seemed to grow somewhat over the night, and that his body seemed more stiff than usual. However, that didn't stop him from going into the bathroom for his regular morning routine. What did stop him was his reflection in the mirror. Naruto was shocked at his own reflection, but then who wouldn't considering what he saw? Instead of his chubby cheeks, Naruto's face was devoid of baby fat, leaving his face more angular and mature looking. His canines had grown in length, leaving him with short fangs that still remained in his mouth and didn't stick out from his lips. His ears were now slightly pointy, not in an elven sort of way, just that the ends of his ears now had a small point at the end. His hair was now pointy down, not that it wasn't spiky, but his hair was now laying flat on his head instead of standing up like sun rays. His whisker marks were more defined and darker. His bangs were now longer but still didn't go past his ears, but they were more jagged. Kinda like a younger Yondaime look. But his eyes were probably the biggest shockers on his face. Instead of circles, his pupils were now slitted, completing the feral look. However, his eyes were still the same dark sapphire blue that they always were. Realization soon struck Naruto that this person that he was looking at was himself, and he was completely in awe of his new appearance. "Ah man, now isn't that face a thing of beauty? Oh, I'm gonna be breaking hearts today, I can feel it. I wouldn't doubt it, kid. While I was upgrading your power, I figured I should change your body to better handle the power increase," said Kyuubi with obvious pride in his massive voice. "And thank you for that, Kyuubi. The face isn't all I changed, kid. While I was at it, I also took most of your body's excess fat and changed it into solid muscle. As well as changing some of the more important aspects of your body." Naruto just took off his shirt and admired his new six-pack abs, pecs that looked as strong as steel plates, and biceps that could probably smash diamonds if needed. His overall body was muscular but not overly muscular like a bodybuilder's. The only thing he could do was thank Kyuubi even more. "Don't mention it. I was tempted to change your body more, but if I did, you would probably be more of a Hanyu instead of a human." After that, Naruto took a quick shower and opened his closet to see one of the horrors of Konoha: orange jumpsuits. Naruto quickly gathered the monstrosities together and with a quick fire jutsu, burned them to their well-deserved hell. If you haven't noticed, I'm not a fan of those jumpsuits. It will be a frozen day in hell before I ever wear those damn things again. Thank Kami that OG-san got some real clothes for me not too long ago. Naruto opened a box he kept hidden under the hardwood floorboards to reveal a pristine new set of clothes. His new clothes consisted of the usual black short-sleeve shirt, but his shirt clung to his muscles, showing off his newly developed body, leaving nothing to the imagination. His pants were standard dark blue shinobi pants that were taped up around the ankles to prevent anything from crawling up them. Over his shirt he wore a dark crimson jacket with the Uzumaki clan symbol on the shoulders and the kanji for 9 on the back in black embroidering. However, Naruto left his new jacket open to show off his muscles. He also had black shinobi sandals. And so that no one would notice his eyes, Naruto also put on a pair of regular sunglasses. Now fully dressed, Naruto grabbed his keys, Hite 8, and his shinobi gear and headed towards the academy. On his way, Naruto noticed that a lot of girls were staring at him, but not with hatred. No, they were staring at him with lust in their eyes. Naruto, for his part, knew he was gonna turn a few heads, but he never expected anything like what was happening. Practically every girl that looked at him had hearts in her eyes, or that look that said, "Must resist urge to rape him." Kinda like what the Uchiha got daily. Which reminded him of something. "Hey Kyuubi, what exactly is the Kekkei Genkei you gave me?" "What I gave you is something I have been working on for a little while now. It's called the Kisogen, or Element Eye. And as the name suggests, it allows you to have free control of the elements around you. As long as you have these eyes active, you are the master of the elements of wind, water, fire, earth, and lightning, even darkness and light themselves. Another part of it is that you don't need to use jutsus to manipulate the elements, you just need to focus. But the best part of it is that when you are using the elements, your opponent cannot use the same element as long as you don't let them. So let's say that someone is using a lightning elemental jutsu. You can take control of that jutsu and use it against the very same person that used the jutsu." At this, Naruto's brain could only come up with two words. Holy shit. As Naruto arrived at the academy, the first thing he noticed was that he wasn't late. So he took his time walking to his old class for the team assignments. The previously noisy classroom grew quiet as Naruto calmly opened the door and walked into the classroom. Everyone was staring at him with quizzically, well, the guys were anyways. The girls of the classroom were mostly drooling while looking at Naruto, save a few extreme Sasuke fangirls. Naruto calmly ascended the stairs until he was stopped by Kiba. "Oh, I don't know who you think you are by, you're in the wrong place, buddy." To which Naruto simply pointed to the Hite-8 wrapped around his left arm. "Oh, I think I'm in the right place, Mud. Naruto. Is that really you? What the heck happened to you, man?" 80. After hearing his name, a certain Hyuga heiress blushed scarlet while looking at the new and improved Naruto. Hell, every girl that heard his name, which was every girl in the room, looked shocked to see that this was the same Naruto that they said couldn't compare to Sasuke. "Trust me, Kiba," replied Naruto, "you wouldn't believe me even if I told you. All you need to know is that this is the real me and I don't intend to ever play a fool again." With that, Naruto continued up the stairs toward a certain lavender-eyed heiress. The thought that ran through said girl were something like, "Oh my Kami, he's coming this way, just act calm Hinata and everything will be alright. But just look at that body, what I wouldn't do to just tie him down and make him mine. No, bad Hinata. I can't see Naruto-kun like that or I'm gonna faint again." And as Naruto got to the top of the class, he promptly took the seat next to Hinata and started looking around. This got Hinata curious, so she asked a simple question. Anyo, Naruto-kun, what's wrong? Something seems wrong with this seat. If anyone could see behind Naruto's glasses, they would have seen the small, mischievous glint in his eyes. Because no one did, they didn't expect Naruto to pick up Hinata and put her on his lap. But he's not known for being the most surprising ninja for nothing. Hinata, for her part, was beyond shocked. Naruto, the person she has had a crush on for so long, had just put her in his lap. Hinata was on the verge of fainting when a small whisper came to her ears. "Hinata-chan, don't faint or I'm gonna have to put you back in your seat and you won't be able to sit in my lap for a very long time." Every fiber of her being was telling Hinata to faint and get it over with, but by sheer will alone was she able to stay awake, if nothing else than to just remain in Naruto's grasp. It was during Hinata's effort to remain conscious that both Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka come barging into the room in a desperate attempt to sit next to Sasuke. Luckily for everyone, after a few minuets of the arguing fangirl duo, Iruka had quickly walked into the classroom. After a quick glance, the class was forced to suffer from Iruka's patented, big head no jutsu. "Quiet, now everyone sit down so I can go through the team assignment. We're skipping the whole boring speech of Iruka's because, to be honest, he is too boring to listen to." After a quick speech by Iruka and after the first few teams it was announced, he got to Naruto's team. Team 7, Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno. Both Naruto and Sakura groaned, which surprised Sakura and Sasuke Uchiha. Now was the time that Sakura squealed in joy, but the loudest sound surprisingly wasn't Sakura, it was thunk. The sound on Naruto's head hitting the back wall, leaving a hole where his head hit. "Come on, Iruka-sensei. I saved your life for Kami's sake. Can't you at least put me in a different team?" "I'm sorry, Naruto, but that didn't count toward your academic grade since it happened after class. According to your grades you're still the last in class. But if it makes you feel any better I would put you in a different team if could," said Iruka, looking truly sorry for the blonde. Hinata looked at her blonde crush, slightly sad that he wasn't gonna be on her team, but she hoped that they could still spend some time together. Naruto reluctantly rose from the hole in the wall to snuggle close to Hinata, putting his head on her shoulder, pouting. Iruka took this time to continue with the team selection, but we all know how that turned out. 2 hours later, Naruto lay on a desk. His teammates and he were the only ones left in the room, and have been for the last hour or so. Naruto was reluctant to let go of Hinata when Kurenai Yuhi, Team 8's Jonin instructor, showed up and had to take Hinata with her. Hinata was also reluctant to leave but followed her sensei out. Kiba and Shino were followed suit until Naruto stopped Shino for a second. Flashback. "Hey Shino, can I ask you a quick favor?" "That depends, what is it that you want?" asked Shino, carefully analyzing the young Jinchuriki. "I want you to keep an eye on Hinata for me. I know she has a lot of potential but right now she's too vulnerable and needs a lot of training." Shino stood quiet and stoic for a second before nodding to the blonde. "Also, make sure that Kiba doesn't try anything on Hinata. I'm not an idiot and I know he will try to make a move on Hinata-chan, so I need you to stop him by any means necessary should he try. I don't care how, you can give him the worst case of fleas he's ever had, just make sure you stop him. I know for a fact that Akamaru will not go against you because he's not stupid enough to go against me or my orders. After all, you saw how he was acting, and I'm sure your bugs are nervous being around me as well. The ever-stoic Abarame raised an eyebrow, stoically of course. How is it that Naruto-san knows my bugs are acting peculiar around him? Perhaps I shall ask him another time. I must hurry to catch up with my team. I will keep my eyes on them, Naruto-san, you have my word. Naruto smiled and nodded before walking back to his seat while Shino calmly walked out of the room. Flashback Kai. After Shino left, Naruto took to the task of relaxing and observing the actions of his teammates to get a better understanding of them. Sasuke just seemed to sit and brood about something. Naruto could almost feel the angst radiating off of him. However, the worst was yet to come as he observed Sakura. The girl obviously seemed to care about her appearance if her manicured nails and hair were any indication. And all she seemed to care about was going out with Sasuke. She probably didn't even consider what it meant to be a ninja, just an excuse to be near her, Sasuke. The thought alone was enough to make Naruto sneer at her. It was then that Naruto felt the chakra of a Jonin approaching. Naruto simply slipped his hand into his kunai holster and pulled out a kunai. The next thing anybody knew was that Kakashi's head was sticking into the room out of the hall and a kunai was sticking out of the wall next to him with a small scratch on his face. Kakashi gulped and looked at his team and saw that no one looked like they threw a kunai. Kakashi's sweat dropped. My first impression, I hate you all. Meet me on the roof in 5 minuets. And with that Kakashi disappeared in a poof of smoke. -5 minutes. Later. Academy roof. Alright, let's get started. How about we introduce ourselves? How about you start, Kakashi-sensei? Asked Sakura. Okay. My name's Kakashi Hitaki. I like a lot of things, I don't dislike much. As for my hobbies, perverted giggles, and I don't have any dreams for the future. Finished Kakashi giving his patented eye smile. Everyone on Team 7 had the same thoughts of, all we learned was his name. Alright, you're up first, Pinky, said Kakashi pointing to Sakura. Sakura, for her part, only stiffened for a second before starting. My name is Sakura Haruno, my likes are, glances at Sasuke. My dislikes are Ino pig and annoying people. My hobbies are, glances at Sasuke, again. My dreams for the future are, glances at Sasuke and squeals. Crap, fangirl, well hopefully she'll grow out of it. And to think that I actually pretend to like that. Shudders. The only way I would like that now is if she actually stopped caring about Sasuke and grew up. No kidding, Kit, even my mate was never like that. Sure, she liked me and she was kinda like a fangirl around me when we were kids ourselves, but never to that degree. Well, let's just pray that she can get over the emo bastard. Maybe after he rejects her a few times and maybe beats some sense into her while practicing, she'll figure it out that he's not interested in her. Come to think of it, I've never seen him interested in any girl. You don't think he's gay, do you? Asked Naruto with some concern in his voice. I don't know, Kit, I can't think of a straight man that would turn down all that. I think it would be a good idea to bring your own tent with a lock on it. But we're getting off topic and the introductions are about to start again. Naruto severed the mental link and focused again on the introduction again. Alright Blondie, you're up next. The name's Naruto Uzumaki. My likes are Hinata-chan, ramen, old man Hokage, training, and studying strategy, oh and I guess pranking. My dislikes are the 3 minuets it takes ramen to cook, arrogant pricks, and people that judge others solely on bias and not personal experience. My hobbies are obviously training, finding practical applications for jutsus and botany. My dreams for the future. I want to be Hokage, but if that doesn't work out I think I would want to be a strong enough shinobi to protect those precious to me. Kakashi was pleasantly surprised that Naruto didn't yell out his response like his file said he would. However, that didn't mean that Kakashi wasn't uneasy, no, far from it. From the file he had on Naruto, the boy was supposed to be loud, energetic, outgoing, and well, downright annoying. This Naruto was calm, collected, quieter, and seemed to have a good grasp on the world around him from what Kakashi saw earlier in the classroom. The others may not have thought he knew, but Kakashi was fully aware that Naruto was the one that threw that kunai. However, the fact that all previous information on Naruto was inaccurate meant that Kakashi was in the dark about his blonde student. I wonder what it is that could have caused this sudden attitude change. Maybe I'll talk to the Hokage later and find out from him. thought Kakashi, all the while only a second or two passed while all these thoughts flooded his mind. Well, all that's left is you duck ass. Pointing to Sasuke, Sasuke glared daggers at Kakashi before he started him angst-ridden monologue. My name is Sasuke Uchiha, I have no likes and many dislikes. I have no hobbies in my dream. No, my ambition is to kill a certain person and to restore my clan. Naruto's thoughts were along the lines of, can he be any more angsty? I mean seriously, who does he think he's trying to kid with the dark and mysterious attitude? He's just a crying child on the inside. I know about the Uchiha massacre and that he's the only survivor, but damn. At least he had a damn family. What did I have? Absolutely nothing, that's what. Damn, Baka can't even see that even if he does grow stronger, that Itachi will grow stronger as well and that he's probably never gonna defeat him. Sakura's thoughts were, Sasuke-kun's so cool, even if he is a little dark, that just means that he'll love me even more when I finally get through to him. Surprisingly enough, inner Sakura was having different thoughts. Sasuke, 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 it's always about Sasuke. What about others, huh? What about other guys that actually like us? Have you noticed that Naruto hasn't called us Sakura-chan or asked us out all day? And what if Sasuke doesn't like us, huh? Then what, huh? Sakura would have usually said something as a rebuttal, could only think to herself for a few seconds before she actually started to feel bad. Kakashi was just thinking about how emo Sasuke just sounded and was silently praying that he wasn't gay like the last emo that tried to make it onto Kakashi's team. I don't like gay Sasuke, even if he really ends up turning gay, so Sasuke will not be gay in my story. Although I currently have nothing planned for him, I'm more than fairly certain that I can come up with something for Sasuke. Alright, Kakashi began speaking. Now that the introductions are over with, I wasn't everyone to meet me in Training Ground 7 tomorrow morning at 5 in the morning for a survival test to see if you're fit to be Genin. Sakura frowned after being shaken out of her thoughts. What do you mean, Kakashi-sensei? We already took the Genin test. Kakashi's eyes smiled at her complete lack of knowledge, or at least he was about to until Naruto spoke. That test was to see if we were capable of becoming Genin. This test will test out skills and knowledge to see if we are capable of surviving as Genin. Kakashi frowned behind his mask as Naruto took his fun away. Well, mostly. That right, Naruto. Now for the part you don't know. Only 9 out of all the graduating class will be allowed to stay Genin. Everyone else will be sent back to the academy for another year. Also, this test only has a 33.3% passing rate, so don't get your hopes up. Oh, and don't eat breakfast before the test, you'll just throw up. Before Kakashi could disappear in a puff of smoke, 2 Anbu appeared behind the Genin, scaring 2 out of the 3 of them. Kakashi Hitaki, Naruto Uzumaki, the Hokage would like to have a word with you two about private matters. Kakashi faced the 2 Anbu. Did Hokage-sama tell you the nature of this discussion? No, he simply said to find Naruto-san and you Hitaki-san, and that it was extremely important. Naruto sighed before looking at Kakashi and nodding. The Jonin disappeared in a puff of smoke before Naruto turned to look at his teammates. Well, I'm off, guys, see you tomorrow. Oh, and Sasuke, here's a bit of advice. If you're gonna rebuild your clan, you might just want to start dating. That way, in case you die before you can kill Itachi, and yes, I know about Itachi, your family can always try and kill him later. Well, until tomorrow, Yane? And with that, Naruto disappeared in a swirl of flames. Sakura stared dumbstruck at where Naruto was a second ago while Sasuke was glaring at the spot with a twitching eye. What the heck just happened? Cha, who cares? Did you see how hot he looked when he did that? OMG, he actually looked hotter than Sasuke. For one, I don't think I can argue with you there. But that doesn't mean that I'm giving up on Sasuke just yet. After all, my mother said that he's the only real man for me. And you're gonna believe that? So far Sasuke's been as cold to us as a rock, and now it looks like Naruto-kun is starting to be just as cold to us. So now what are we gonna do? I don't know, we need some time to think about everything for a while. While all of this was going on in Sakura's head, Sasuke was having some very different thoughts. Let's listen in. How dare that Dobi tell me what to do? I'm Sasuke Uchiha, and what would that Dobi know about anyway? But where did he learn how to do that technique anyway, and why don't I have that power? I should have that power to kill Itachi. Once I activate my Sharingan, then he'll have no choice but to listen to me and give me that power. Hokage's office, around 3:42 p.m. Kakashi and Sarutobi had been waiting for a few seconds for Naruto to arrive. They had thought that he would take a while to get there since it was about a 10-minute run from the academy. What they weren't expecting was for Naruto to appear in a swirl of burning hellfire. But then again, Naruto wouldn't be Naruto if he didn't at least try to give poor Sarutobi a heart attack every time he popped in. As suddenly as the flames appeared, they disappeared, leaving a very serious-looking Naruto staring at a very confused Kakashi and a coughing Sarutobi. "Hey Hokage Gigi, you alright? You look like you just swallowed your pipe." Cough. "Alright Naruto, cough. I just need, cough, to catch, cough, my breath." "Naruto," said Kakashi, getting Naruto's attention. "How exactly did you do that technique?" "Oh, that's simple Kakashi-san. I just added fire elemental chakra to the Shunshin technique," answered Naruto like it was the easiest thing in the world. After another minute or so, Sarutobi finally managed to catch his breath. "So Naruto, I'm sure you're curious why I've called you and Kakashi here." He waited until both Kakashi and Naruto nodded. "Well Naruto, it's to discuss your actions yesterday and about you family." Naruto was now completely focused on nothing else but Sarutobi. Hell, you could have said that Tucci was gonna give him a lifetime supply of free ramen and he wouldn't have paid attention to what you said. "Wait Hokage-sama, Naruto doesn't have a family, so what are you talking about?" "To put it simply Kakashi, we need to discuss about Naruto's parents and any possible bloodlines he may have inherited from them. But I am surprised that you haven't figured out who young Naruto's father was by now. You're usually much more observant than this." "Wait, you mean that I knew Naruto's father personally?" The Hokage looked saddened for a second before finally saying, "Yes Kakashi, but that will have to wait for a second. Right now we need to discuss the events that occurred last night, so tell me Naruto, you said that you were no longer going to be the village's punching bag. Now I know that you have been abused once or twice, but it couldn't have been that bad. But you also said that if you were not treated like an equal throughout the village, that you were going to take matters into your own hands with lethal force if necessary. Now I don't mean to belittle you Naruto-kun, but just what do you think you will do?" Kakashi was a little surprised, and when I say a little surprised, I mean that his visible eye was threatening to fall out of its socket. "First of all Hokage Gigi, I was not exaggerating when I said I would no longer be a punching bag for this village. I have been beaten nearly every day for over the last 9 years, especially on my birthday, and as proof." Naruto slowly lifted off his shirt to reveal a multitude of scars that ranged from minor cut-like scars, to scars that nearly crossed the length of his body. The Hokage was mortified by the sight while Kakashi just stared at Naruto dumbly. "As you can see, I do not jest when I say that no one knows the extent of my scaring, and that's just physical, not emotional or psychological. And as for using lethal force, well, I will do what is necessary to ensure that my point is driven across, even if I have to kill civilians or shinobi, and don't worry about me. Kyuubi has more than enough power to ensure that I will not die. But do not worry, I will not kill if I do not need to. If 1 or 2 people come at me with the intent to only hurt or degrade me, then I will only send them to the hospital, but if they come at me with the intent to kill, well, they are the ones that will be going to the morgue instead of me. But let's get back to the matter of my parents." This shook the aged Hokage out of his musings and brought him back to the world of his memories. Sigh. "Naruto, as you know, I have kept the information of your lineage away from you. I did this in order to protect you from your father's many enemies. However, I am starting to think that decision may have been the wrong one. Your father had made many enemies in Kumo and Kiri during the Second Great Shinobi War, because he is the one man that brought both villages to their knees. Naruto, your father was none other than the 4th Hokage of Konohagakure no Sato." Naruto was visibly shocked at this development as the room started to get thick with killing intent. Both Naruto and the Hokage looked at Kakashi, so see him shaking in anger, glaring the very essence of death into the withering old man. You told me he was dead." Points to Naruto. "You told me my sensei's son died in the Kyuubi attack. Do you have any idea how destroyed Rin was because of what you told us? And now you're telling me that my sensei's son has been alive all this time and was even being abused by these damn villagers." By this point, Kakashi had grabbed the Hokage by the collar of his robes, revealed his Sharingan eye, and was shaking the old man in the air. "Please Kakashi, control yourself. I did what I did for a reason." Kakashi let go of the now shaken Hokage, but didn't stop glaring at him. If I had said anything about him being alive, then you would have tried to adopt him. That would have raised suspicion in Kumo and Career, and they would have no doubt that Naruto was their greatest enemy's son, and would have sent assassins to try and kill him. At this point Naruto decided to enter the conversation. Even if those villages did try to assassinate me, it would have been less assassination attempts on my life than I got normally. At least the shinobi of Konoha would have tried to protect me from foreign assassins instead of trying to kill me themselves. With this information, the Hokage put his head down in shame. After all, Naruto was probably right. But that's all in the past, and we will have more time to talk about the past later. Right now I want to hear about my Ka-san. The Hokage sighed deeply. He didn't really want to talk about this, but he didn't see any way around it. Naruto-kun, your mother's name is Kushina Uzumaki, the former princess of Whirlpool and a former Jonin. She was the only woman I know that could put more male shinobi in the hospital than Tsunade. And she had a temper that would match a demon's, especially when she was pregnant with you. But what you really need to know about her, Naruto, is that she isn't dead. Naruto put his head down. So she didn't want me. I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, I was probably nothing more than a monster to her, and she gave me up without a second thought. Naruto was, however, brought out of his depressive thoughts by the next thing the Hokage said. She isn't dead because she's been a coma since the day you were born, and nothing any of the medics have been able to do have brought her out of her coma. Naruto's eyes brightened. So there was hope after all, perhaps not much, but if she could pull through by some miracle, then he could at least have a mother. If her condition continues to worsen, then I doubt that she will make it through the rest of the week. What? You have to take me to her right away. Naruto, I don't want you to get your hopes up in case she doesn't make it. That doesn't have anything to do with it. She's the only family I have. Please, just let me see her so I can remember what her face looked like if nothing else. Alright Naruto, follow me and I'll take you to her. As Naruto, Sarutobi, and Kakashi arrived at the hospital, Naruto used a henge to transform into a regular-looking boy with brown hair and brown eyes, no whisker marks, and he was a little shorter. Sarutobi and Kakashi looked at him with a confused expression on their faces until Naruto explained. I'm now welcome in a lot of places in Konoha, that includes the hospital. The two older shinobi have a sorrowful but knowing expression. When the three of them walked in, they all noticed that the hospital seemed to be having a fairly slow day. This point was made by the receptionist sleeping at the desk and the doctor that was taking a nap on one of the sofas in the reception room. Well, this palace is awfully calm, commented Naruto. Kakashi just nodded in agreement before taking out his favorite orange book. Sarutobi, being the wise old man that he was, just grunted before walking up to the napping receptionist and clearing his throat to get her attention. Said receptionist, who was previously having a dream about something not important, slowly opened her eyes, only to come face to face with the wrinkly one himself. Oh, good afternoon Hokage-sama. What do you need today? Asked the lady with a sweet but serious tone. I was curious about the status of Kushina Uzumaki and if anyone can see her today. Replied the aging Hokage. The nurse checked her clipboard before answering the old man. Well, she's still in a coma, but it doesn't look too good. As to whether you can see her or not, well, it should be fine. She's in room 304. With that, the Hokage nodded and made a hand gesture for the two remaining people to follow him. 3 minuets of walking found Naruto staring at the door to room 304, and he was nervous. Well, in all fairness, it was the first time he would ever see his mother, even if she was in a coma. Still, that didn't make it any easier on poor Naruto, who was so nervous that he almost dropped his henge. Something that didn't go unnoticed by the two older men he was with. Naruto, are you okay? We can always come back later if you're not feeling up to this, asked Kakashi, who surprisingly wasn't reading his smut. Of course he would never read it in front of Kushina, especially not after the last time he did. Kushina damn nearly beat him into an early grave for that. Afterwards, Kakashi would make it a habit to never reveal his smut in front of her again. Yay Kakashi-sensei. No, I need to do this. And with that, Naruto pushed open the door to Kushina's room, and what he saw inside nearly broke his heart. Inside the hospital room lay Kushina Uzumaki, the mother that Naruto never knew he had. Her ankle-length orange-red hair lay off the side of the bed. She was dressed in a hospital gown, laying completely still with all sorts of monitors and an IV hooked up to her. But the sad part was that she looked ghostly pale with small arms, legs and body because of all the atrophy her muscles must have gone through over the years. Overall, she looked like a very frail person that was hanging on to life by the skin of their teeth. Naruto's hand shattered in an instant. Naruto slowly and shakily walked to the side of her bed and in a quiet voice that almost broke the Hokage's heart to hear, Naruto uttered the words. Hello, Ka-san. And with that, tears that Naruto had been holding back for years. Tears that he didn't think he had any more, started to stream down Naruto's face. With a shaky hand gently cupped his mother's right cheek. Ka-san, there are so many things I wish I could tell you. Well, first of all, my name's Naruto Uzumaki and if you haven't guessed, I'm your son. I wish Otou-san could be here to explain things better to you than me, but I guess with you being in a coma and all, it would all be kinda pointless. Oh how I wish you could hear me Ka-san. Throughout his small speech Naruto kept a quiet, almost whisper-like voice. It was also during Naruto's little speech that Kakashi glanced over to the miniatures that displayed Kushina's vitals, and what he saw shocked him so much that he had to use his Sharingan to make sure he wasn't seeing things. With his miraculous discovery made, Kakashi quickly lowered himself to the Hokage's level and quickly whispered into his ear. Hokage-sama, I think you should check Kushina's vital monitors. Following Kakashi's curious suggestion, the withering Hokage looked at the monitors and what he saw nearly gave him a heart attack. The monitors were showing that Kushina's vitals, that were near the dead zone earlier that day, were returning to safe levels at an almost inhuman pace. At first, the Hokage thought that the monitors must be malfunctioning, but his assessment was quickly squashed when he heard a very soft, very female moan coming from the medical bed. Who's there? Minato, is that you? Kakashi and Sarutobi's necks could be heard popping as they spun their heads around to look at Kushina. Said woman hadn't really moved but she did shift from under the sheets. Naruto had to restrain himself from hugging the woman as tight as he could. Given that her medical condition was still weak, he could very well hurt her if he did. So instead, he simply squeezed her hand. No. I'm not Minato, but it is good to finally meet you, Ka-san. Naruto felt like the tears would never stop flowing from his eyes. Naruto-kun? Is that really you? What happened and where am I, and where's Minato-kun? Sarutobi and Kakashi had a sad look on their faces. They knew that breaking the news to Kushina would be difficult and she was nowhere strong enough at the moment to take the news that her husband had been dead for 12 years, let alone all of the other sad and depressing news they would have to give her. Sarutobi, given his ancient wisdom, decided to talk with Kushina. Kushina-chan, now is not the time. You have been in a coma for 12 years and you need your rest. Tomorrow we will explain everything, but for now try and get some sleep. I will inform the doctors that you have woken up but for now try and rest. Kushina gave a quick and silent now before closing her eyes and fell asleep. Though technically she had been asleep for 12 years, that didn't mean that she would be full of energy when she woke up. That coupled with the fact that she had nearly no muscles left meant that even after a small amount of exertion, she was tired. Naruto, who had wanted to get to know his mother better, simply stroked her hair before giving a small, sad smile before he noticed that Sarutobi and Kakashi had signaled him to follow them out of the room. Once out of Kushina's room, Naruto had a few questions to ask, but with an intelligence that almost appeared that he was reading Naruto's mind, Sarutobi spoke. Listen Naruto, your mother is weak and need to rest. After a while she will be strong enough to understand what happened to your father and what has happened to you, but try and not talk about your past specifically for the time being. Kami knows that Kushina-chan would never be able to take the news in her weakened state. I'll tell her tomorrow what happened to Minato-kun 12 years ago, but for now you should go home while I have some of the doctors check up on her. And don't worry, I'll stay here to make sure that everything goes alright. Naruto was relieved to hear that everything would be fine. So Naruto was about to head back to his apartment when he was stopped by the Hokage. Wait, Naruto, I want to give you something. Sarutobi calmly dug into his pocket and pulled out a set of keys. I think your father would want you to be living in your family's home instead of that small apartment. Not to mention what Kushina-chan would do to me if she ever found out that you were living alone in a small apartment. Kakashi, do you think you can show Naruto to the Namikaze estate? There are more things that we need to talk about, but I have to get back to my office to finish my paperwork for now. Sarutobi was given a simple nod before he handed over the keys to Naruto, and the duo disappeared in either a puff of smoke or a swirl of burning hellfire. Namikaze Estate. 2:03 p.m. Kakashi had already shown Naruto to and around the house. Well, I shouldn't say house since it was more like a mansion. Not the typical type of Japanese mansion like the Hyuga estates, mind you, but a more Western-style estates with a 3-story main building with the recreation room, kitchen, and main office inside. The building's west and right wings were the sleeping rooms for both family members and guests. In the back was the clan library and dojo, and the backyard was divided into a zen yard and a personal training ground. Naruto had already picked out his bedroom, which was the second biggest room. The room itself had a large bed, some thick curtains to block out the light in the morning, a bookshelf, a few weapon racks, and a huge as hell bathroom that had a walk-in shower with glass doors. Will become important later, a wall-sized mirror, granite countertops, and a beautiful designer sink. The library was filled with books and scrolls on everything from chakra theory to jutsu history. In the main office, Naruto had found his father's journal and read the last few pages of it in hopes of finding anything useful about the Shikafujin seal, and had surprisingly found a ton of information on it. However, most of it was just untested theory, so he would have to do more research on that subject later. The recreation room had some couches, some love seats, chairs, recliners, some pool tables, a pair of poker tables, we'll use that later, and a big screen TV. Had sound of angles singing, connected to a VCR, and a huge shelf full of movies. The dojo was the basic type of training room with workout machines, weapon shelves, training ring, and clothes with gravity seals on them. The Zen garden was just basically that, a garden. The only thing he noted was that the grass needed to be cut and some weeds needed to be pulled, but that could be taken care of later with some shadow clones. The training area outside needed a lot of work. The training posts were half eaten by termites and half destroyed from years of vigorous training. The grass was probably up to Naruto's stomach, and the pond in the back of the training ground was half covered with algae. Overall, it would need a hell of a lot of work. Naruto only had one problem with all of this. It was just too damn much. Even if his mother was going to be living with him, there was simply too much damn space. The place looked like it was built for a major clan, not for a single family. Sighing, Naruto got out of the chair he had been relaxing in and decided he needed to do some shopping, first for some clothes, then for some gardening equipment, and finally for some food. Hey, 12-year-old, food is not good food. Naruto walked down the empty hallways to the main office of the compound and, biting his thumb, smeared some blood on the seal on the safe, opening it up and allowing him to grab some money. After closing and resealing the safe, Naruto quickly and quietly walked out the front door, locking it of course, and down the walkway to the front gate and out into the rich district of where his home was located. No sooner had he walked out the door had Naruto accidentally bumped into someone. This particular someone was wearing a pink Chinese dress, dark blue shinobi pants, and had her hair up into 2 buns. If you don't know who this is, then you need to kill yourself. Sorry miss, I didn't see you there, said Naruto, slowly getting up. It's alright, I wasn't paying attention to where I was walking, the girl said, not paying attention to who she was talking to. Here, let me hell. No way. Is that you, Ten-chan? Tenten was frozen in place for a second. Only one person had ever called her Ten-chan in her entire life. But the last time she saw him was almost 4 years ago, right after he had started the academy. When Tenten opened her eyes to look at the person she bumped into, she was greeted with the sight of flat, spiky blonde hair, and deep cerulean eyes. There was no doubt at who she was staring at. Naruto-kun, is that you? Damn, look at how you look like you practically live for nothing but training. So what are you doing here in this part of the village? Naruto rubbed the back of his neck for a second. Well, you see, I actually live here. The place behind me is my new home. Tenten was shocked. Naruto was an orphan and was supposed to be broke all the time, but by the looks of it he was easily loaded. It just didn't add up. So Ten-chan, what are you doing here? Oh, I was just on my way to see if one of my teammates wanted to do some sparring with me. I just tried Neji, but he said he was too busy with clan activities today to spar, so I was on my way to see if Lee wanted to. Naruto stroked his chin for a second. Lee. Kuso, where have I heard that name before? It sounds so familiar. Just then it him. Oh Lee, You mean that guy that wore the plain white gi with black shinobi pants and had her eyebrows? Tenten smiled, then she looked exhausted for some reason. Yeah, that's Lee, well, used to be him. What happened to Lee? Naruto was curious, if only because Tenten seemed depressed for some reason. What happened to Lee? Guy-sensei's what happened to Lee. Now he's the same hard worker, but he has a bowl but orange-legged warmers with Kami knows how much weight put under them, and wears a green, full-body, spandex suit. Naruto stopped dead in his tracks, right eye twitching with all its might. His head turned slowly to face her as the bones in his neck sounded like they were breaking. You're kidding me, right? Please Kami, tell me you're joking. Tenten gave an exasperated sigh. I really wish I was. I've tried to get him to stop wearing the spandex suit if nothing else, but nothing I've tried has worked. Naruto looked deep in thought for a few minuets. Finally, after much thought, Naruto finally came to a decision. Ten-chan, I'm gonna help you with this. No person should look like you just said, but I'm not sure I'll be able to do this on my own, so to get an accurate assessment, I'm gonna have to see the target firsthand. Tenten smiled at Naruto and happily hugged him. What she didn't know was that when she hugged him she accidentally gave him a feel of her pillows. Something that Naruto couldn't help but blush at. Naruto may never admit it, but Tenten was actually his first crush, not Sakura. When Tenten let go of Naruto, she grabbed him by the arm and started to drag him to where she knew Lee would be. Training Ground 10. 2:23 p.m. Naruto just couldn't believe his eyes. He thought he had seen the epitome of horror when he first set eyes on what Lee had become, but to his dismay, it only got worse when Maida Guy decided to make a dynamic entry. Naruto didn't have to stay long to know that he was not capable of changing Lee into something presentable, at least, not alone anyways. Sure, he could simply put Lee in a more fashionable pair of clothes, but that alone would not work. No, the true problem lay in the depths of Lee's personality and his mind. For this endeavor, Naruto would need some help. He wasn't really good with fashion, though you would never be able to tell with his choice of cloths, so with fashion and a person's mind being the main problems, Naruto could only think of one person that would be able to help him with this. But that would wait until he was done shopping. Shopping District 5:37 p.m. After getting all the necessary supplies, groceries, and clothes he needed, and sending everything home via Cage Bunshin, all Naruto needed now was some gardening supplies and to enlist some help. Entering a small flower store, Naruto was greeted by the sight of a man in his early to mid-30s with light blonde hair and a gruff exterior. Anyone could easily tell that this man was definitely a shinobi that commanded respect for his abilities. The fact that said man was currently manning a cash register at a frilly flower shop almost didn't register with Naruto, almost. Welcome to Yamanaka Flowers. How may I help you? Well, if it isn't Naruto Uzumaki, how ya been? Inoichi greeted with a warm smile. Pretty good, Inoichi-san. I'm gonna be needing a lot of supplies for a huge project I got, said Naruto, grinning and rubbing the back of his neck. Well, look around and pick what you like, Naruto, we're having a sale today. Naruto casually walked around picking up about 5 hedge trimmers, 2 lawn mowers, a pond skimmer, and some potted plants. All in all, it came to about 307,000 ryo, which Naruto happily paid. After making a few shadow clones, which carried the lawn equipment away, Naruto once again glanced at Inoichi, knowing he was about to tread into dangerous waters if he wasn't careful. Hey, Inoichi-san, would you by chance know where Ino-chan is? Naruto asked slowly and calmly as to not disturb the creature known as a overprotective father, but no matter what you say you will always disturb it. And why exactly would you need to see my daughter, Uzumaki-san? Raising an eyebrow and giving Naruto a real close look. Well, one of my friend's teammates needs a serious fashion makeover and I said I would help. But this teammate happens to be Maida Guy's student and mini-me. Inoichi shuddered. The though of Maida Guy would make anybody cringe in terror of the horrible jumpsuit he wore. I actually hate Guy and Lee's spandex suits more than Naruto's orange monstrosity. Hell, even the Hokage can only take so much of Guy and Lee before it simply becomes too much and he sends them on an extended mission just to get them out of the village. But I think that Lee-san's problem lays in the confines of his mind. That's why I need Ino's help. If anybody could get me into Lee's head to fix what's broken, it would definitely be her. Inoichi thought about it for a minute and realized that he had to agree with Naruto. Ino talked about Fasan almost as much as she talked about Sasuke. Now if only she would stop talking about Uchiha-san constantly, then everything would be great. Honestly, what do today's girls see in him? After determining whether or not Naruto was lying, and finding no fault to his words, Inoichi said. She's upstairs, Naruto. Oh, and if it works, do you think we might be able to fix Guy? Naruto's face deadpanned. Inoichi-san, I'm a miracle worker and a shinobi, but even I can't do something that only Kami can do. And with that, Naruto walked upstairs to the bedrooms above the flower shop. However, Ino was nowhere to be found, so Naruto did what any normal person does when they can't find someone. Ino-chan, hey Ino-chan, where are you? He yelled at the top of his lungs. Naruto, is that you? I'm in the shower, what do you want? Yelled Ino, sounding kinda agitated. I need your help. One of my friend's teammates needs a serious Phasian makeover and a mental inspection, but I can't think of anyone more qualified with Phasian than you, so I was hoping you would help me fix this person up. Why should I help? I mean honestly, what do I get in return? Naruto was starting to get a headache from all the yelling, so he rubbed the bridge of his nose to help him think and to help fend off the ensuing headache. Think of it this way, Ino-chan, you'll be doing Konoha a major favor. Come on, his clothes can't be that bad now, can they? Here, let me help you visualize it, Ino-chan. He has a bowl haircut, the thickest eyebrows you have ever seen. He wears orange leg warmers over a full green spandex body suit. Naruto added, putting emphasis on the last 5 words. There was a pause on the other side of the door before the water slowly turned off. The next thing that happened was so fast that Naruto barely had time to register it. A naked Ino Yamanaka burst out of the bathroom, practically ripping the door off of its hinges, grabbing Naruto by the shoulders, shaking him violently, screaming, "Take me to him now. Take me now, Naruto." I suppose it's really bad luck that Inoichi had decided to check up on how Naruto and his daughter were doing, only to come around the corner hearing, "Take me now, Naruto." Poor Inoichi suffered 4 simultaneous heart attacks. Naruto just stared at Ino, bug-eyed, with a small bit of blood trickling down his nose, before he promptly fainted, leaving a flushed Ino. Yamanaka residence, 7:36 p.m. Naruto was a little groggy when he woke up. He didn't really remember anything before he fainted, but he could have sworn he was talking to someone about something. Then he noticed it. The room he was in was completely different from his apartment. The walls were clean with no holes or insects crawling on them. The walls were painted sky blue. The floor was a nice, soft carpet devoid of stains. The dresser and closet were practically busting out with clothes, and the bed he was on was soft with a thick sheet and a blonde girl on. Hold the phone. Gah. Ino, what am I doing here and why was I in your BB? Naruto just couldn't finish that sentence because he took a look at himself. He was devoid of a shirt or his crimson jacket. Luckily, or unluckily depending on how you look at it, he still had his pants on. Naruto looked at Ino with a piercing gaze, like he was trying to dig into her very soul, something that almost went unnoticed by Ino as she was too captivated by his muscles. Ino-chan, why did you remove my jacket and shirt? Asked Naruto in a calm and cool voice, so cool that it almost brought the temperature in the room down. When you fainted after looking at me naked, your shoulders popped out of their sockets, so I had to push them back in. Ino answered calmly, silently adoring the sight of Naruto's muscles. It was a little-known fact that when they were younger, Ino had a little crush on Naruto after she became friends with Sakura, but was afraid of not being accepted, so she pretended to like Sasuke. But we're getting off topic. And the reason you removed my clothes is, I couldn't see where your joints were with your shirt on, so I had to remove it. Ino lied. Unfortunately for her, Naruto caught the lie but decided not to pressure the issue. After all, he could always find out the information later. I see. Well, thank you for that, and I am sorry if I stared at you before I fainted. You just surprised me is all. I wouldn't have looked if I knew. Are you saying I'm unattractive? Ino asked, slightly hurt at the insinuation. No, you're not ugly, Ino-chan. You very beautiful, it's just that I know you don't like me very much, so I know you didn't want me to stare is all. Ino was slightly taken back at being called beautiful. Sure, she had heard it from other guys in her age group, but they always said those things to get what all guys want in the end. But she knew that someone like Naruto wouldn't say someone was beautiful unless he truly meant it. It was for that reason that her face suddenly and inexplicably turned pink, if only for a second. Arigato Naruto-kun. I appreciate it, and I don't hate you if that's what you think, it's just that well, I'm afraid of not fitting in, okay? Answered Ino, feeling slightly downtrodden at the end. You're scared of being alone and unaccepted. It's understandable, after all I've had to live like that every day of my life since the day I was born, and I do everything in my power to be accepted. Though, deep down, I just know I never will. Said Naruto, sounding depressed, or emo. Ino looked at his downtrodden face with tears in her eyes, and for once, she felt like a bitch. She had been one of the people to verbally abuse him in the past, for the very same thing she was afraid of, no less. That's when she launched herself at the dark blonde and buried her head into his chest, sobbing for forgiveness. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I should have been kinder to you, I'm so sorry. Naruto firmly wrapped his arms around her waist and back as they lay on the ground, cooing to her to calm her down. Shish, it's alright Ino-chan, I don't blame you for what you said to me. It's alright. After about a minute, Ino finally calmed down enough to remove her head from Naruto's chest, only to stare deeply into his eyes. She was mesmerized by the cerulean orbs that seemed to be filled with sadness, hurt, pain, caring, forgiveness, and even love. Ino didn't know how long she had been staring into his eyes, or how she had moved her head so close to his, but that didn't seem to matter as her lips met his in a comforting embrace that seemed to make time itself stop. The feeling of his lips on hers sent shivers up and down Ino's spine as she deepened the kiss, and he had no intentions of stopping either. It didn't matter in Ino's mind at that moment if everyone would make her an outcast, it felt so good and so right to be with him. Alas, soon the couple would have to part for one of the most basic of necessities, air. The parting couple stared lovingly into each other's eyes before a coughing sound startled the both of them, forcing the two to separate, much to their displeasure. The cough belonged to none other than Ino's mother, Hachino Yamanaka. The older woman in soft brown hair, with Ino's turquoise eyes. She was about 5 feet 9 inches in height and wore a light green shirt and tan dress with a pink apron on over it. And though she was a civilian, she had a good grasp on shinobi matters. So what were you two doing, Ino? The woman asked sweetly. A little too sweetly. Nothing, Mom. We were just discussing about helping out a friend tomorrow, that's it. Ino quickly said, not even sounding remotely believable. Back when I and your father were younger, we would usually call discussing, sucking each other's face off. Said Hachino, smiling a toothy grin. Ino and Naruto both at least had the dignity to look away from the woman and blush. That's when Ino's mother moved closer to Naruto as to inspect him like he was a piece of art or something. Naruto was starting to sweat as he was being scrutinized. For some reason, he felt like he was on exhibit or something. Well, I approve. I just want you to know, Mr. Uzumaki, that if you hurt my daughter, that Inoichi-kun isn't the only person you will need to worry about. Naruto sighed in relief. For a second he thought she was one of the people that blindly hated him and was about to order him out of her house. Oh, and by the way, Naruto-kun, I don't mind if you don't wear a shirt, but try and keep your pants on while me and Inoichi-kun are home. Okay, she said with a smile before winking and walking away. Ino yelled aloud, Mom, before the older woman scurried away, leaving an extremely flush-faced Ino and a silently shocked Naruto. After a few minuets of uncomfortable silence, Naruto decided to talk. So Ino-chan, do you have any ideas about what to put someone like Lee in? I mean, it's not like someone like him would be willing to do anything for Phasian unless it had function. Ino, who was glad to have the awkward silence broken, smiled before diving under her bed and bringing out some Phasian magazines. Unbeknownst to her, she also grabbed some other types of magazines. Alright Naruto-kun, start going through some of these and help me pick out this Lee guy's wardrobe. From what you said, it's not gonna be easy. Naruto was digging through the pile of magazines before a thought came to him. Wait a second, did she just call me Naruto-kun? Wow, I guess she really does like me, but I can't just forget about Hinata. Why me? Naruto absent-mindedly opened a random magazine and skimming through the first article before something caught his attention. Hey Ino-chan? Yeah, Naruto-kun? What exactly is a rim job? What? Ino quickly ran to see that Naruto was holding one of her more personal magazines, which she quickly took and put behind her back. Never mind Naruto-kun. Let's just get back to looking at clothes, right? Right. Naruto was hesitant for a second before picking up a magazine that's cover was completely black. Opening to a random page, only to see the page fold out into a 3-section folded page. Naruto abruptly closed the magazine and looked at Ino that was sweating profusely. "Ino-chan," Naruto stated calmly. "You have to be one of the biggest perverts I have ever met. It's not my fault, I'm curious. Besides, I'm not the only kunoichi that's a pervert. I bet you don't even know that Hinata uses her Byakugan to look under your clothes." Naruto just stared at Ino with shock written all over his face. That's when Naruto replied to the extent of his intelligence. "She was." Ino just nodded, knowing it would take time before Naruto could believe her. So, taking pity on Naruto, she helped him up onto his feet, and after grabbing his clothes, Ino ushered him out of her home before Naruto gave her a quick kiss goodnight and walking home to try and process this new information. It would be a long night for Naruto Uzumaki. That's all for now. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments.